Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Once again, it is a brand new season and we welcome you all back, racing fans. It is season 3 of the TGR Nation Grand V Series. Brand new crew, but all still the same. I'm Alexa Marshall, joined by Tristan Herbst, and this is round number 1 of the season. We ended at Rutskogen, but now we go to Oschersleben. It is time for these Vs to go absolutely rampant. A 2-time champion comes into this on top, but Tristan, you can only imagine how this is going to get with a 12-round season all the way ahead of us.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you were here for season number 2, it was a wild season of up and downs. We saw dirt racing, we saw oval racing, and then we saw our normal asphalt racing. And yet tonight we start off season 3 with our normal style racing here at Oschersleben. And very, very cool track, if I must say. We were chatting about it just now, and it kind of looks like a Snetterton Rutskogen kind of mix. It's got a couple of really cool corner names as well. We've got some McDonald's in here and a couple of other funny things to mention the corner names by. But other than that, I think it's going to be a great race here. I mean, 2.24 miles here out in Germany. It's a great place for the Vs to stretch their wings for round number 1.
Well, I don't think the wings exist on these cars, but you definitely have a lot of suspension that I think which I think considering we're starting on asphalt, the engineers will be very happy they don't have to scrub any dirt off it. But as you see the main straight there, this is where it lines up. Of course, Zach Rattray White comes into this championship as a 2-time champion back-to-back. He's going to be looking for his 3rd. You see the track from the aerial shot, as we said, Rutskogen, also kind of Snetterton mix into it. But we've got quite a lot of returning drivers. Johnny Lutzer out there on the circuit, Sully Khan, Nathan Maroney, Alan Degassis, John Archer McMillan, Sean Gapinski, Mark Schweening and Rob Wright, all very well-known names in this one. Of course, Alex Boubert Bradley, our producer in the background, Jim Cummingham's favourite. He'll be bringing you all the camera shots that you will be seeing tonight. But we've also got a few new names on the grid this season.
Yeah, a couple of new names, and that's going to add to the action that we see tonight. We won't go through all of them as it's a bit scattered, but we've got a Luke Harrison in here and a Dario Satori, who were not here last season, and they're joining us here for the first time for season number 3 of the TGR Nation Grand Prix, Grand V. But just as our practice session is still well underway, as you can see, for the time being, it's also just good to once again give a shout out to the sponsors here of the TGR Nation Grand V Series of the Lutzu Driver Performance, bringing all that performance enhancement and assistance to the drivers out on track. And then as well as Sambo iRacing, just providing all those extremely essential track guides for all the drivers to watch, especially catering for the Formula V community, which, as we know from last season, can be a little bit of a technical car if you don't know how to drive it. So awesome stuff there and awesome support all around from everybody involved.
Yeah, and we can already see on the screen, we've got quite a lot of drivers going side by side quite already. Of course, we also know that you can let us know who you are supporting here tonight, because we saw quite a few people get some support last season, so it'll be great to know who everybody is going to be supporting to kick off season number 3. But I'm going to put this question to you, Tristan, because I think this is going to be the big story. Of course, it's the biggest one at the moment. Zach Rattray-White, 2-time champion, back in the car, back on the track. However, we do have Gianni Lutsu, who is out there on the circuit. He was the man who was closest to Zach when they were racing each other. I'm starting to wonder, are we going to see Gianni a little bit more this season and maybe take the fight to Zach, or are we possibly going to see someone else try and step up to the 2-time champ?
Well, I mean, we can only hope from Gianni Lutsu's side that it can be a little bit more involved in Season 2. Obviously, he is a real-life racing driver, and so that will always come first in terms of priority. I think the Formula V series here at TGR Nation is kind of just a side thing that he's busy with for the time being, but he has managed to join us here for round number 1. And like Alexa mentioned, he was the top contester against Zach Rattray-White throughout the entirety of Season 2, but just due to the fact that he missed a couple of rounds, it was an easy snatch for Zach to take home the championship again for the second time. But one thing to notice, though, and you'll see it on the live timings board that will come up shortly on your displays, is that we do have a familiar name that's currently topped our practice session, which is Sully Khan, with a 143 flat. So I know it's just practice. I know sandbagging exists. I know all that kind of different practice interventions happen, but that's a pretty impressive thing to see him up on that board, and he is currently faster than Lutsu. So, I mean, Alexa, do you think we could see something coming from Khan this season?
I would say so, yes. Like, if we look towards the end of last season, Sully was really coming into his own. He was around about midfield at the start of season number 2, but of course towards the end, more specifically, Alton Park and Roots Kogan, of course, having a few incidents that dropped him down. But I feel like if Sully can get those mistakes out of the way, figure out how to keep that V in a straight line, he could be a really strong contender, knowing from what we've seen. But I'm also going to put the argument to Christian Flagg and Alan Degassis. Also, Sean Gapinski is in there, because they are not to be counted out either. Alton Park especially, we saw stuff happening between those. So definitely not a lot of people to count out. He hasn't really got another time on the board at the moment, but Michael Feasted as well as Ken Poulin, they are down on the board at the moment, but they are ones to watch out for as well. So realistically, if we'll get a lot more information, because like you said, Tristan, it is just practice and sandbagging does exist. But once we get to qualifying, I think we're going to see, as Nathan Maroney goes to P number 4 and Alex Boubert Bradley goes P number 9, I think we're going to see that possibly the top 10 is going to be a lot tighter this season than possibly last.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely hoping to see a bit more of a top 10 fighting schematic throughout the entirety of Season 3. And another driver you just mentioned as well, of Nathan Maroney, also an incredibly quick driver in the V. I just feel like he had a little bit of consistency issues throughout the entirety of Season 2. We saw him having a couple of incidents here and there across some of the rounds over the 12-course round of Season number 2. And so that kind of just threw him off from any chance to get those points in. And so hopefully with the complete reset here of Season number 3, we might be able to see a lot of change coming in. Obviously, we've got another pink V on the grid here of Christian Flagg, now marking it out with the likes of Mark Schweening, who's got an identical V out on track. And of course, Mr. Matthias Marin, also in a very unique livery himself. We don't see Zen Carr over here. He had one of the more unique liveries from last season. I don't know if you remember it, Alexa, the Lightning Bolt V, that also drove like a lightning bolt. But lots of impressive liveries out here. But once again, all I got to say is I just hope to see some action this season with all the changes and with all the new drivers and the complete point reset. I'm super excited to see where this goes.
Definitely. I mean, we're going to get the action tonight. Surely that's really going to set the tone for the rest of the season, like any racing series does, whether it be Formula V's, Formula 1, Formula 3. It is always a time to be set, as Matthias Marin is making his way to the line. and he is going to stay where he is for the time being on the timing screen. Everybody else is seemingly coming into the pit lane now, so we've only got a few out there on the circuit. But Sully Khan, fastest in practice, definitely don't count it out. However, Gianni Lutsu and Zach Ratchet White, in fact, looking at it, inside the top 10, it's a gap of less than a second, less than half a second for the top 5 in practice. But qualifying is about to come your way as practice does come to an end. It was a 41-degree track. And we are now getting qualifying underway. But of course, let's go through this, Tristan, because obviously the drivers are going to have to go through their laps. So the schedule is going to look like this going throughout the rest of the season. It is going to be, here in the opening round, it is Oschersleben. I suck at saying the name. I apologise. Tristan can do it a lot better than I can.
No, so it's Oschersleben for for the first round here, 11th of October. I'll go the first couple of rounds, and then you can do the final half. And then after the 11th, we head to round number 2, and that's at Rand Park, which is also a really cool track for the Formula V. Summit Point will be taking place for round number 3 on the 25th. And then Rutskogen, which we saw as the finale round last season, will be our 4th round here on the 1st of November. VR South will be taking place on the 8th of November. And then Charlotte Infield Long will be taking place on the 15th of November as the 6th round here on the calendar.
Going into the 7th round on the 22nd of November, we go to the Land of the Rising Sun. Good old Okayama. That's definitely going to be one to watch. We return to Alton Park Island on the 29th of November with Tsukuba Moto on the 6th of December. Wild West Motorsport, as Tsukuba, I'm being told, I should say. Then Wild West Motorsport Park on the 13th of December. And then 5 days before Christmas, it's Lime Rock Chicanes on the 20th of December. Then 2 days after Christmas, 27th of December, Laguna Seca. We will make it obvious. It may be a bit tricky to see that one because it's 2 days after Christmas, but we have got plenty of races to come the way so far. It is looking like an absolutely amazing grid that it's going to be, and an absolutely amazing schedule. Personally, I've been a little bit of hearing through the ether. We may be seeing a few more wet rounds this season.
Well, that would be cool to see the wet rounds. We didn't see a lot of them in the V. And like we saw in season number 2, it's got its complications to it, and that obviously it is a beginner-friendly car. It comes free with your iRacing package. But it doesn't mean it's just going to do the work for you. It's got a very tricky rear end if you don't know how to control it. The gearbox is obviously situated right on the backside. You can actually see it there in the camera. And so that can obviously also cause damage if you have some bumper-to-bumper fighting, which is why in Formula V we call it gearbox or nose-to-gearbox fighting, because that's actually what it is. There's no bumpers, there's no spoilers, there's no diffusers on these cars. It's just noses and gearboxes. And so that's what we are dealing with at the time being. But qualifying is underway now. We've got a couple of drivers starting their flying laps. And one thing to mention as well, we obviously saw Sully Khan top the practice. We saw Gianni Lutsu up there as well. But that was after multiple laps of practice, getting yourself toned into the car. Whereas qualifying is only 3 laps that you've got in the span of 10 minutes to set that desired lap time. So it's going to come down to what the drivers can do. We've got a couple of drivers, though, still in the mid-pack here and in the midway of their current laps.
And I would say, though, it's going to be quite hard to not grip onto the track. It's 18-degree ambient, 41-degree track temperature. So it is hot, hot, hot. They're going to have to manage those tyres at the end of the day. Then again, it can be a bit hard to get temperature into the Vs, so they may actually end up liking that factor. But right now, you see Matthias Marin on your screen making his way around the circuit. He's about a third into his lap time at the current moment. You've also got to have a few more. You've got Blake Babson, Rodrigo Tostes. You've got so many drivers on this grid tonight. It's going to be hard to keep up with them as Alan Degassis goes to the top, 1 minute 44.204 to beat. Ken Pooling goes P number 2, 145.078. P3 for Blake Babson. Then into P number 2 goes Rodrigo Tosted, the Brazilian. The Canadian of Rob Wright goes P number 3, but now P number 4 is Alan Degassis goes P number 2. Daniel Taylor P number 5. Benjamin Rogers, who was up top. Zach White, no surprise, is once again to pole. 1 minute 43, 4.56. Nathan Maroney, the man from the land down under, goes to P number 2, 1 minute 43.508. Michael Thiessen, slowest of all of the lap times at the current moment. I will say this though, and it's something I have noticed here, Tristan. We seem to have a lot more Americans on the grid this season.
Yeah, it seems like we do it. Maybe they got some secret undisclosed invitation and they just shared it wide across their country. But for the time being, Lutsu's got the fastest lap time, and oh my goodness, breaking the 43 that we saw in practice, of 43 flat of Sully Khan, and Lutsu takes it up to a 42.8 as the fastest lap time, and that's well ahead of Rattray White, his previous season competitor. And so that has set the bar extraordinarily high. So pretty big gap now. I mean, almost 6/10 between the two in first and second, and this is how it's going to start to differentiate. This is what we were speaking about in the practice to qualifying conversion, is that it's not truly accurate in the practice sessions. People tend to take it a little bit easier. They tend to find the flow of the car, where you need to brake, where does the car become unstable, and then qualifying is that time to absolutely put your foot down to the metal on the bottom of this car and just get that car going as fast as possible. And Lutsu has demonstrated that in 100% orderly fashion. Marin will take 7th over there with a 144.251. And so it's pretty clear that the 44s are going to be from your top 5 and below. The 43s are just the breakthrough up into your top 5. Rogers comes in with a P number 4, 143.9 for him. So lots and lots of track evolution coming in play over here. We'll get a couple more faster laps as this qualifying goes on. We've still got 4 minutes left, so keep your eye on that live timing board.
And the Oceanic drivers switching P2 and P3 there momentarily. Scott Brooks making his way around the circuit at the current moment in time. Corolla sits P number 14. But as you were saying, top 5, it is seemingly top 6 now. This is what we saw towards the end of last season, so seems like not much is going to change there with Gianni Lotsu, Nathan Maroney, Zach Rattray White, Benjamin Rogers, Rodrigo Tostes, Mark Schweening, Alan Degassis and Ken Poulin. I think Mark will be hoping that there isn't as many ovals this season, because he's having a pretty good start to the season, it would seem, at the current moment in time. Michael Thiessen further down, Alex Boubert Bradley gets an improvement up into P number 16. However, Martin Visser, Sean Kapinski, Jason Archer-McMillan, Christian Flagg, Luke Harrison, Neil Hanley, Aaron Dombrowski and Sully Khan are all still yet to set a lap time and get onto that timing board. So there is still quite a few who could possibly take Gianni Lotsu's top spot, but breaking into that 1 minute 42 is definitely going to be a challenge, because it's half a second from P1 to P2.
Well, I mean, there come 2 lap times, Visser and Hanley sitting 44.6 and 44.9. And so a couple of drivers getting those times in. Harrison also got himself in there with a 46 flat. So a couple of drivers just not finding the comfort spot in the V here around Oschersleben. And just a little bit further down the 144s to 145s. Oh, a good lap there from one of the drivers getting himself up into 7th. That's Sully Khan. So 43.988. It's not as fast as he did in practice, though. So Khan really needs to step up his game here, because he was breaking some incredible lap times there in the practice session. Gapinski also pulls himself up to 6th position. Brooks will take 16th, unfortunately. And now we only have 3 drivers left here with no times on the board. That's Jason Archer, McMillan, Christian Flagg, and Aaron Dembowski, who still need to get their lap times out on board. And for the time being, Christian Flagg just about to come across the checkered line over here. Let's see what he can do. Alexa obviously spoke of him that he could be a contention here for the top spots. So just coming across that checkered line. Where is it going to be for Christian Flagg? Waiting for our update on the tower, and Christian Flagg sets himself up to 4th position. So good prediction there from Alexa, but also great lap time from Flagg.
Yeah, right in there, and it is very much a trend that we're seeing it here. Oceanic and American in a bit of a flip-flop all across the board. You've also got South America in there with Rodrigo Tostes for Brazil. So it's a good mix of nationalities across the board that you are seeing here, as that was going to be there for a moment. That was Neil Hanley, who ended up going back to the pits. Only driver to get a lap time on the board is Jason Archer-McMillan, as Adrian Borowski goes to P number 4 on the board. Here comes Luke Harrison. Should be an improvement, but stays in where he is, P number 24 for a time being. So, with less than a minute, we usually saw this at the end of last season as well. Sully can't! It's P number 4. So, no surprise, he's getting his spot back up in the field. A nice little jump there to put him in that top, onto that second row. Here comes Christian Flagbo. Is he going to be able to maybe deep as it is going to be all over the place? But Tristan, let's get your opinion here, because right now it's looking like Gianni is not going to get dethroned at all.
No, not what bit whatsoever. I mean, 0.37 of a second to Zach Rattray White. Obviously, a good improvement there from Zach. He was 6/10 down. Brought it up a little bit to Lutsu, but just not enough. And Christian Flag, it's all yellow across his sectors and decides to pull the car away just before coming across the line. And that is officially your qualifying results in and done and dusted. So Lutsu will be sitting on that top part of the seat over here. Row number 1, slot number 1. But he does have his competitor from season number 2, Zach Rattray White, will be just behind him here at Oschersleben on the starting grid. The lineup going into the left-hand flick through Hotel, and so we'll have to see it. But for the time being, Gianni Lutsu from Vatican City will line up as P number 1, Zach Rattray White in second, followed by Nathan Maroney in third. Sully Khan will take 4th position. Great improvement there for himself to get himself on the second row. Adrian Borowski up to 5th. Christian Flag will take 6th after not getting an improvement on his final lap. Benjamin Rogers will take 7th with Rodrigo Tostas down in P8. Sean Kapinski will take P9. It's not his best result that we saw from season number 2, and Mark Schweening will take P10 with Alan Gassis in P11, and Leo Brongas rounding off the top 12.
On the second page, it is Matthias Marin who will line up in P number 13, Ken Poulin at P number 14, Rob Wright P number 15 with Daniel Taylor at P number 16. P17 goes to Martin Visser with Scott Brooks following. Then it's Alex Bourbet Bradley and Hayden Cummings rounds out the top 20. It is going to be all over the place as we also go Neil Hanley, Blake Babson, Jason Archer McMillan, Michael Thiessen, Luke Harrison, Aaron Dembowski and Dario Sartori. So we're waiting for a few people to get on the grid here, Tristan, as what is flashing in the back?
Yeah, I've got a couple of people still just getting out of the pit lane. And as far as I remember from season 2, if we don't have any change, there will be no formation lap. We will be starting fixed standing order like we do see in Formula Racing. We are missing that number 5 slot, it looks like. I'm not too sure who's missing from that start. And Gianni Lutsu also hasn't lined up in P1 currently. There he comes now. Oh, there we go. He appears on the left-hand side. And so Benjamin Rogers of 7th has not come onto his grid slot, as well as Dario Sartori. So not too sure if we're going to see them appear. There we go. There's Benjamin Rogers in 7th. So he's managed to get himself in order and ready for the start of this race. But for the time being, Dario Sartori still not out on grid. Your lights are now on screen, and it's going to be a one. As you can see, the smoke pouring out the backside. There's a jump start there in the back for the yellow vehicle, but it's a good pull away. Gianni Lutsu had an incredible pull there from the 2 behind him, and that's going to be a chase down now for Zach Rattray White and Nathan Maroney, followed by Solomon Khan. And coming into the next corner, who's it going to be? Lutsu's got a good pull ahead already. And already in the background, you can see Maroney trying to contest against Solomon Khan. Adrian Borowski has already lost the position in the background as everybody trying to make their way around. Gapinski has lost out as well. But in the starting grid of orders, it looks like Lutsu has managed to hold on. In the middle of the field, though, everybody just trying to make their way around track. And a little bit further back, it looks like it was a clean start, which is exactly what we wanted for round number 1, Alexa.
Nice and clean across the board, what we want to see. It's stayed pretty much the same as just as you say that. Zach Rattray White is dropping down the order on the timing tower. iRacing doing iRacing things. No need to worry. He's P number 2 still. But you've also got Sully Khan, who's now trying to make his way through. In the background there, I think that was Adrian Borowski. Also trying to fight his way. Mark Schweening getting past Alan Degassis. Benjamin Rogers getting past Adrian. So they're all fighting a little bit further back. Christian Flag right now trying to chase down Sully Khan. But he's also got to be careful because Benjamin Rogers, one mistake and he can catch up. So they are all across the board. 18 ambient, 39 track. This is a little bit cooler than qualifying, but still nice and toasty for those tyres. Here comes Rob. It's got to be Matthias Marin. Leo Brongas possibly look for the inside. Going to opt out of it for this time round. Does not want to make a mistake on lap number 1. That could end up costing him. So play your cards safe and play it across the board. But as you come to the end of lap number 1, we could possibly see somebody try and slot in on the main straight. but doesn't seem like it. Sean Gopinski is dropping down the order on the timing tower. Something maybe happening to him, but we have no visual on him. But it's Gianni Lutzu who leads, followed by Zach Rattray-White, then Nathan Maroney. But we go towards turn number 1, almost looking for a move, but not that time round, Tristan.
Yeah, let's see. We'll maybe be able to get a replay there of what happened to Gopinski. It looked like he had a bit of an incident, and here it comes for you guys on the screen. It looked like he pulled into the pit lane there, so possibly an incident out on track there for Gopinski, and that's completely ruined his charger in race number 1 of the season. But here we go on board with Gopinski. Looks like he's surrounded by just ahead. It looks like Mark Schweening or possibly the other one of the other cars, but oh, that's why he just decided to pull into the pit lane. Pretty ordinary unless he made a mistake. No, it literally just looks like Gopinski pulled into the pit lane. So not sure what happened there for Gopinski. Maybe a fuel up error or maybe some form of setup error, but I'm pretty sure this is fixed setup as far as I am concerned. So not too sure why Gopinski's pulled himself into the pit lane. For the time being, though, that is his order, running out of time here because he's not going to be able to pull up towards the top 5 anytime soon. It is only a half-an-hour race, but for the time being, Lutzu has not gotten what he wanted. He tried to run away at the start of this race, but looking right on the backside of his gearbox, it's the bright black and red nose of Rattray-White and Nathan Maroney, all chasing down in following suite, and Khan just a little bit further behind. Christian Flag also just holding on the top 5, and you can see on your timings board how close this race is. All the orange numbers representing sub 0.5 of a distance between all these drivers, and so keep your eyes peeled because there could potentially be loads of changes up and down.
Up and down, but it's staying pretty much the same. 4 positions up. Neil Handley, most gains so far in this race, tied actually with Aaron Dembowski. So that is what's happening over there. Fastest man on track is Nathan Maroney down into turn number 1. But now, holding on to the time for being, you've also seen Sully Khan now coming into the back of this fight as well in that iconic yellow and blue. And it is lovely to see, as you see the gearbox there of Zach Rattray-White's V just in front of Nathan Maroney. Then you can also see Gianni Lutzu just ahead of them. So that is where they're making their way through. But you can also see the way that this circuit is, because it does seem like it's on a little bit of a slant, if I'm looking at that correctly. The middle of the track seems a little bit higher than the edges.
Yeah, definitely. It's got a little bit of slanting to it, and I think that might be affecting slightly how the V normally drives, but slight bit of gradient drop-off on the edges of the track. It's not a usual gradient what you'd see at, for example, a track like Spa's up-down gradient. This is a bit of left-right gradient, and you don't usually see it. It's a pretty unique characteristic here of Oschersleben, and so nice to see. Good point out there as well from Alexa, because not normally noticed by most people, but especially by a driver, would definitely notice that it does play to effect, especially the side of the car that's on the lower angle will have a little bit more weight applied to it, and that can change how you have to control these Vs. They are a little bit technical machines, especially on the rear, so you got to watch out, especially if the track is providing technical and tricky conditions like that. But for the time being, our top 5 has remained completely dead still. It has been a pretty good chance of overtaking opportunities, but nobody has made the plunge just as of yet. Rattray-White is trying to get closer and closer to the likes of Lutzu, and Maroney is just on the backside of his gearbox. As you can see in front, Khan has dropped off slightly, as well as Flag. And then unfortunately, the likes of Benjamin Rogers, 2.2 seconds down. Tostas has made a position on Schweening, and there's a big fight coming into T number 1. Marin is going to benefit, and there's a massive accident. Oh my goodness, massive accident into turn number 1. That was complete suspension failure for the V that went up in the air.
Yeah, we are definitely going to have to get a replay on that, because that is not what you wanted. Initial drop there between, I believe it was Mark Schweening and maybe Daniel Taylor, but Daniel's got through. Maybe Leo Brongers. There was an initial fight. This is going to be the replay here. So down into turn number 1, right in the middle is Rodrigo Tostes, and off goes, no, Rodrigo's on the outside, and he goes straight across. Thankfully, this is sim, no longer. Thankfully, this is sim, not real life. This is right in the middle. This was Mark Schweening. So going down into turn number 1, locked in the middle, and that is what happened. Hits the brakes, and that is going to catch out 2 other drivers on going into turn number 1. Not expecting him to be there. Almost hitting a third, but you can see with it. That is going to be Maroney who gets past White.
That was a pretty interesting incident. I mean, it was one incident leads to another, That was Daniel Taylor who obviously hit the backside of Schweening. And like you said, it was all just came down to not expecting a driver to be sideways on track and just multiple incidents happening all across circuit. I mean, you saw it happening, but this is now the fight, is what we saw, the swap around. As you can see, Zach Rattray White, that looked like a little bit of a gear up issue. Looked like he geared up a little bit late, the gearbox complaining a little bit. You could see the smoke huffing and puffing out the back of that V, and an easy inside overtake for Maroney. So slight driver error there from the likes of Rattray White, and now he's going to have to try and fight this back up. You can see he's already back on the attack on the rear side of Maroney, but is it going to be enough? Because this could give the opportunity for Lutzu to run away. We know Rattray White, a super competitive driver. He's very feisty when it comes to trying to get a position back, and if he fights a little bit too hard, well, Lutz is going to find an easy opportunity to run away with the start of this race.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think that's what he would hope for. You get an easier chance to run away, you've got to take it. But Alan de Gassis right now is locked in this because he's trying to get past Matthias Marin. He's on the inside and now going to try to get past, but nothing there for him. Of course, Alan de Gassis, that bluey, teal and white car, the reddish, purplish and white car just ahead is Matthias Marin, now coming down into basically the S's. Seems very easy for a Formula V, not that much change in the speed of them because you're only really in third or fourth gear in these cars, otherwise you're a little bit too slow. And is now all that gravel getting picked up. Wow. But Zach Rattray White getting past Nathan Maroney. This is going to be it. This is an absolutely astounding fight we're seeing, Tristan, as looks to defend, nothing there for him. Over to the side goes Zach Rattray White, down the inside, lovely jubbly, sound as a pound.
Yeah, Maroney just clocked the rule that he had to remember there. No double moves allowed. He couldn't switch to the inside and then to the outside to recover continuously. You have to make it fair. But now Christian Flagg, because of that overtake on Maroney, and it looks like it slowed him down quite a bit, Christian Flagg has caught up and he's obviously gotten past Sully Khan, who's unfortunately dropping off the top 4 fight for the time being, and Flagg right on the gearbox now of Nathan Maroney. But the more and more they fight, Solomon Khan could potentially pull up closer to here, and that could be a great opportunity for the Brit to get himself up into that top 3 and a good podium slot for him. But on board with Christian Flagg, you can see pulling slightly away, and it all depends on how they take the corners here at Oschersleben. It's a very complex track, but like Alexa mentioned, these cars only really sit in third and fourth. There's a driver error though for Zach Rattray White, and just taking the corner wrong. Easy move up the inside for Maroney as he's left it vulnerable now for Christian Flagg to get right on the backside now of Rattray White. One more mistake, and oh, unfortunately the mistake comes from Christian Flagg, just eating a little bit too much curb, and that's allowed Solomon Khan to get in front of him. This is great racing that we're seeing here for the top 5 battle, Alexa.
Yeah, you can only imagine what Gianni Lutzer is going to be thinking when he looks in his mirrors and see what's happening behind, because they are really helping out. Look, they are really helping out the leader. The more that you battle each other, the more time you're going to lose. So I think Gianni will be in the car saying, thank you very much. I'm just going to focus and keep it on the road. Of course, try and not hit the sausage curbs around this circuit that are usually on the inside of Zach Rattray White. Apparently drops down the order, then comes back up. Classic iRacing netcode, and that is going to be a blink actually. So that is very weird. Maybe some connection thinking there. So Zach, we're gonna have to keep an eye on that, because that could definitely develop into something. Hopefully not, because we would love to see him continue racing around on the circuit. But right now he still has to get past his fellow Oceanic driver, as down the inside is going to go for a move, and that is a mistake there by Jason Archer McMillan. Neil Hanley making his way through, and now in the back of that fight you got Alex Boubert Bradley, who's trying to fight through as well, as Jason seemingly struggling, especially into the corners with this Formula V.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see it's starting to get a little bit technical now. We're 10 minutes in. And usually with these cars, you're not going to see too much tire wear, but obviously if you've scrubbed enough and you've made a couple of errors, those tires are going to be a little bit too warm. And like we spoke about in the beginning of the race, this is not the coolest track to be racing on. We're at about 38 degrees ambient track temp over here. It's around about that at the time being. I think it's dropped slightly, but that definitely is going to play into how these cars are feeling. Christian Flag now right on the backside. They're scraping up a little bit of grass and doing the gardener's duties over there, grabbing a bunch of grass and just chucking it off to the side as Christian Flag trying to get closer and closer. And there's an error from Solomon Khan, and he collects both of them. Unfortunately, nothing that Christian Flag could have done in that fight. And unfortunately for Solomon Khan, there goes the top 5 fight. He falls all the way down to P11, and that is going to be super unfortunate for him. My goodness, Solomon Khan was having such a good pull over there and just making an error over the curbs.
3 races in a row, something like that has happened. Alton, Rutskogen, and now Oschersleben. So that is just really unfortunate for Sullivan, and he keeps on dropping down the order. You can only imagine what that's going to be like. Not the start of the season he would have wanted. Now outside of, now only P20 into the pit lane. That is so unfortunate for him. But this battle further back, Alex, Jason and Neil all fighting for this position. Battle for P number 11 is underway. Ken Pauling sitting comfortably in P number 10. And it is now getting closer and closer as we approach the halfway mark. Gianni Lutsu leads, followed by Nathan Maroney and Zach Rattray White.
It's a good fight as well, just behind Fuss over there in 15th. You can see Dembowski and Gapinski, who had his he had his events in the beginning of the race, diving into the pit lane after lap number 1. And so it's always good to see the immense amount of fighting we're seeing all over the grid here. You know, it's always it's an unfortunate thing when you're only seeing the top couple of people fighting, as we see it here up front. But it's good to see it all over the place. But now it looks like Maroney has switched around again, once again with Zach Rattray White just not getting that corner in, and Rattray White taking that inside advantage. We may be able to get a replay of what happened there, because it looked like Maroney was slowing down a little bit. Not too sure what happened there on the corner entry. But now Rattray White right on the backside of Lutsu. Here's your replay though, just checking out the overtake. And just coming into the straight, you can see there's a little bit of slipstream happening there for Rattray White. And it looks like an ordinary pass, actually. Just a little bit more speed being carried from the slipstream. And Rattray White just claiming the inside line. A little bit of a lock up there from the likes of Maroney as he tries to drag his Formula V through the chicanes. Just not going to be enough to hold that position off. And so once again, shifting around. The top 3, though, is all under contention. And anything can happen as we are just about to hit halfway mark of this race.
Anything can happen in the final half, so you never know when it happens. You could be 3-0 down, but then you win 4-3. Who is going to take the crown? It comes down to this. Johnny, Zach, Nathan, possibly more people could get involved if something happens. If you like what you're seeing, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications to get notified here on Apex Racing TV to keep up with the TGR Nation Grand V action. Looking over the rear wing, looking over the rear there. I was about to say rear wing, we don't have those. But now looking forward, we're trying to get past Gianni, but Zach is unable to do so at the moment. The Kiwi continuously getting a bit of smoke in the visor from Gianni's car, but still you got the man from the land down under, Nathan Maroney, also trying to fight his way through, and he is getting closer and closer, but so is Zach. Got to be looking for any opportunity, avoid the sausage on the right, but now making the way through, just about holding onto it, and that is going to be that. But however, I will say this, Gianni's car is seemingly smoking quite a little bit. I'm wondering, is there maybe some slight mistakes he's making, either with lockups or gear shifts?
Yeah, the primary amount of smoke is, it's going to come from the Vs, but they can also be produced just from irregular downshifts. We saw it as well on the back straight, where a little bit earlier, Rattray White lost out to Maroney, who's looking up on the inside line, but decides to tuck it up in. But Maroney, what we saw on that back straight when he lost out, when Rattray White lost out from Maroney, it looked like a bit of a bad shift up, because Maroney got a way better pull out of the straight. And so could potentially be playing it to the factor of driver error, but it also does just come down to the vehicle. They do tend to smoke a little bit, but as it stands for the time being, Rattray White is trying his absolute hardest, but just in this really cool cam on his front axle. Maroney's blinking. It's okay, he's still here. Just making sure he's blinking and he doesn't just hold his eyes closed. That would be bad to just see him disappear. But for the time being, he is still here and fighting. Just a little bit further up in front, though, it is still Gianni Lutsu holding on.
as we hear a microwave going around the circuit apparently. But now maybe you will get a perfect opportunity to get that move done. Maybe as there's a little bit of blinking going on there for Nathan Maroney. So that is really, really bad blinking. So you've got to hope that this will stay as the car fades in and out with a little bit of a snap. But now continuously down towards the braking zone. They are nose to gearbox as we look a little bit further back. There is Benjamin Rogers on the back of Adrian Borowski as they head through the left-hander. You could also see Christian Flagg a little bit ahead by over a second. So he is there, but you're going to have to make up quite a little bit of space. I will say this though, and I want to bring attention to it, a little bit further down the field, 11 positions up for Jason Archer McMillan.
11 positions up is an insane amount here throughout the race. Apologies about the microwave in the background there. My inverter just decided to do a cycle right in the middle of a Grand V race, but we're all good for the time being. But Jason Archer McMillan, I mean, incredible effort here. And I mean, as well as Alex Bube Bradley, I mean, he didn't have the greatest qualifying session, and 8 positions up for himself as well. Neil Hanley also 8 positions up. So this entire crew from 11th to 13th doing an incredible job here to keep themselves running, and it's just great improvement all around. Aaron Dembowski 9 positions up, Michael Thiessen 6, and I mean that unfortunately does come from the couple of drivers who have lost out. Sully Khan 17 positions down, Mark Schweening 14 positions down, and Leo Brongas 13 positions down. So it's an unfortunate one to see, but for the time being, Visser is fighting his absolute heart out over here. Daniel Taylor looks up on the inside line now, and he's fighting extremely competitively for the time being. Dembowski is also just a little bit further in the background, trying to get himself around into this fight for 15th position, but Visser will hold on tight. Back up to our front, though, you can see how close it is between the top, and now getting closer than ever. Zach Rattray White, oh, it could almost be a bumper to gearbox contact as coming through that braking zone. If one slight little bit of brake change comes from any of these drivers, that could potentially be contact. So thankfully, nothing there.
Heading into the final third very, very shortly. How are they going to fare up into this one? We're going on to lap number 12 as lap number 11 comes to an end. Neil Hanley getting past Jason Archer McMillan a little bit further back, but on the front axle with the GoPro. Looking in the back, there goes Nathan Maroney continuously trying to get past Zach Rattray White. Zach may actually get boxed in here. Down into turn number 1. It's going to be an opportunity for Maroney. Looks for an up and under, switches it outside as there goes, but Zach holding the inside line. It's not going to work out that side. Daniel Taylor getting past Martin Visser further back finally. But this battle for P number 2 continues to go on as you go aerial, and now you look for it again, but seemingly no move for the time being. It is very hard for these Formula Vs to get an overtake done here as this is happening, but we are having an absolute fight here, Tristan. This has been an amazing opening round so far.
Absolutely incredible opening round. I mean, it's great competitive play, and once again, Visser and Taylor switching around yet again. And now Taylor's lost out completely down there in 15th position. For the time being, the top 3 are going to need to recover a little bit of seconds after that switch around that they had. So we'll have a look towards our back just to see how things are going between the other combatants. But Alex Bube Bradley down in 11th, currently holding off against Neil Hanley in 12th position. As that train over there, the battle for 11th. Jason Archer McMillan also trying to hold on. And oh, Zach Rattray White has gotten the lead. What has happened through the braking zone over there? We'll get a replay of what happened over there. But Lutzu just not getting into the corner at the right amount of speed. And Rattray White, I mean, we obviously saw him falling off a little bit there into the corner. But now Lutzu looking up on the inside line. This is hyper competitive play over here between the top 3. Maroney's now on the outside line. This is 3 wide potentially going into turn number 1. Rattray White will have the inside line over here, and Lutzu will be almost boxed up on the inside line. Maroney's holding as far out wide as he can. He doesn't want any form of contact, and Lutzu now pulling all the way in and just getting around the outside there of the likes of Rattray White, and almost losing out is Maroney as he tries to hold on from Rattray White.
Johnny almost having that rear end slip. That could have ended very badly. Nathan Maroney getting past Zach Rattray White. They were 3 abreast down the main straight. Here comes Zach Rattray White on the inside. Now Maroney's going to be on the outside, getting incredibly close between these guys. A little bit of a touch onto the grass there. But for Nathan Maroney, as he defends his heart out against his fellow Oceanic driver, the Kiwi versus the man from the land down under, and the outside, that's going to be onto the back wheels. Little bit of a wheelie, keeps it on the circuit, but oh my god, that could have ended even worse. But now that's going to put him into a bit of a soft reset, as Nathan is going to have to try and chase down Zach and Lutzu again. But this is jumping back to this fight. It is Alex Boubert Bradley, Neil Hanley, and Jason Archer McMillan. Alpha P number 11. And now on the inside, here comes Alex Boubert Bradley. Got to look for it on Neil Hanley. Inside line. That will be the outside. And once again, inside wheel to wheel through the chicane. Lovely, jubbly move made done. But now you've also got Jason Archer McMillan, who may get an opportunity here again. But it's going to be Neil Hanley who's going to come straight back for it. Going to go free a triangle for quite a second. A little bit more speed there for Neil Hanley. Now it's going to be wheel to wheel, side by side, under the brakes. And that is going to be where it stands. What about Jason Archer McMillan? Is he going to hold on to it onto the sausage curve there for Alex Boubert Bradley? Is that going to cost him? No, it will not. Jason Archer McMillan possibly trying to fight his way through, but nothing there. Neil Hanley fallen back as well. This is absolutely astounding as they come onto the main straight with of course, Alex Boubert Bradley ahead, Jason and Neil astern.
Yeah, 7 minutes left of racing now. Borowski also gets past Rogers there, just down in 5th. Not sure what happened there with Rogers. It wasn't looking like there was a fight in our hands. And so now Borowski already getting out in front. We'll have a quick replay to see what happened here. Yes, Borowski just on the rear side of Rogers coming into turn number 1. Was there possibly a bit of a driver error? And Rogers going out wide, and there's your driver error, almost losing the rear. It's a good save from him, but it's not going to be enough to keep Adrian Borowski at bay. And the green V moves up to the next position, up to P5 now. And that's an important position to lose out for Rogers, as he loses out on the top 5 fight. And with only 7 minutes left to go, he's going to have to really put himself into gear here to get himself closer up towards the likes of Adrian Borowski. Further behind, though, Michael Thiessen is also fighting it out. He's chasing down, and never mind, he's not chasing anymore. The lead is also changing around. There's so much action going around. Lutzu is fighting so hard to keep Rattray White at bay, but he's made an error on the exit, and Maroney's gotten ahead now into the next corner. He has the inside line. What on earth is going on around this circuit? Oschersleben is bringing some crazy driving over here. I mean, we've got so much action in the front and so much action in the back. With only 6 minutes left, the podium again has changed, and it's probably going to change again, because here comes Rattray White. He gets boxed in, though, a little bit on the outside line. He might be able to get a bit of a slingshot here, but what's going to happen with Maroney holding off on the inside line? It's not going to be enough to get ahead of Lutzu, but my goodness, here comes Rattray White up on the inside line, and once again claiming second. In the next corner, though, he might not have it, but this is incredible fighting for the lead.
I think Zach may have been caught out there, as here comes Nathan Maroney, still trying to defend against Zach Rattray White on the inside. Earlier on in that lap, or on the previous lap, because we are now on lap number 15, it looked like Gianni was locking up quite a bit. There was a bit of smoke puffing from the tyres, and the rear was slipping out, so maybe Zach getting caught out, which allowed Nathan to get past. So surely you got to be careful of those in front of you. But now this is going to still fight. Maybe an opportunity to open up on the inside. Zach is going to try it, but gets caught on the curbing. So no able to get the move done. And now through the chicane again, caught it as much as you like. A little bit of smoke there puffing as well. But like we said earlier, a little bit normal for these Vs, as they are just nose and gearbox with a little bit of chassis. But now down this straight into the right-hander. Surely it's going to come up next. And it's a long straight, but now into this one more time, through the right, into the left, into this corner, and try not to go in the gravel. Seemingly calming down a little bit. Less than 5 remains here on the timing tower and onto the main straight. Here we go one more time. Very dirty visor there. But here we go, trying to get into the gearbox, trying to get into the draft. It is going to work out in 3rd gear, down the main straight, under the gantry, past the garages on the left-hand side and the fans on the hill. Down the inside is going to be Nathan Maroney. Is Gianni going to try fight it? down into turn number 1. He has that line. Is he going to choose it? Yes, he will. Around the outside, Nathan Maroney is going to have to try and defend it. It's going to be right here, right now, trying to get this done. Gianni Lutsu, Nathan Maroney, locked in this fight, battling each other. A little bit of tire banging. Now down into the braking zone into the left-hander. Both going to puff for smoke. Down into the left-hander. A little bit of smoke coming out the gate boxes. And now going to hold on to this. Zach has a front row seat. Surely he's going to hope something happens, because these two are having an absolutely astounding fight here into the final 3 minutes.
Yeah, there's a big opportunity on the line here for Rattray White, because any driver error from these two, and there comes the driver error, and it's a massive error from Zach Rattray White. He's made contact with Nathan Maroney after having such an incredible fight with Lutsu. Has received a bit of a tire banging from Rattray White, and that is his podium chances completely ruined. But just coming into the right-hander here, through after the triple into the next corner. My goodness, you can see Rattray White just getting a little bit too aggressive and taking a little bit too much space that was not reserved for him. Maroney is going to be super annoyed with that one after an incredible fight and almost holding P1. Loses out from Zach Rattray White. I mean, that is some incredible racing, but it is also super unfortunate to see, though. Down in the battle for 10th once again, Neil Hanley is just sitting there in 11th. This is the battle for 11th, sorry, and claiming just on the inside line there of Alex Bube Bradley. Great overtake from him, though, as Bradley just having to be reserved behind him. Jason Archer McMillan also trying to hold on to him, but Bube Bradley's actually gotten past once again in 11th position on our live timing screen. So it's a lot of switching around going on, but for the time being, with just 2 minutes left of racing to go, it's Lutsu versus Rattray White.
And going back to that battle up front, I was paying attention on the replay. If you look at it, you can see the tire on the right-hand side of Zach's car lock up. You see the smoke rising, so that seems to be the reason for the contact, but leave it to the stewards. Christian Flagg right now trying to get past Nathan Maroney. It could be an end to the podium chances for Nathan. Is Christian going to get this opportunity? 2 positions up so far in this race. Nathan, where he started this race, looking to get onto that podium place to kick off the season. I'm sure that's what Christian would want. He has been absolutely astounding these past few laps. 1 minute 43.3 was his last lap time. So how is that going to fare for him? He has got plenty to do. If we're going off the timings, this is going to be penultimate. We will get one final lap. So this is going to be the last chances he will be looking to get. Final time for him to get an American flag onto that podium here tonight.
And he's gotten it, as we spoke about. Yeah, as we spoke about it, he managed to just get in front of Maroney. And so now that is the fight done and dusted. Maroney is going to have to try and fight hard to get himself on that podium after the unfortunate spin with Zach Rattray White. But for the time being, Christian Flagg, and it's been swapped around again. There's a lot of competition between the two, and we'll swap back to them. You can see them just at the back line over there, and Lutsu just trying to break the slipstream here, but further behind. As you can see, Flagg holding on the inside line of Maroney. We'll go to a bit of an aerial, and as you can see there, Maroney holding on to the outside line, Flagg holding on to the inside. Flagg is currently, in terms of statistics, the faster driver on track in terms of the battle right now at hand. Rogers and Borowski once again swapping around, so Rogers taking top 5 once again from Borowski, but Christian Flagg looks like he's going to hold out on this. Rattray White's getting incredibly close, though, and now making a dive up onto the inside line. We're approaching the corner, though, where he made the internal error there of touching the rear end of the likes of Nathan Maroney. Like Alexa mentioned, his front locked up and had nowhere to run off to. So through triple they go. Where will Rattray White plant his car? Lutsu completely stationed in the middle of the track here. Rattray White just having to follow the lines, and once again, Flagg and Maroney just continuously switching around, but our 30-minute marker has been hit. It's the last lap here of this race, and it's going to come down to who can do what in these final couple of diring moments. Zach Rattray White versus Gianni Lutsu. Christian Flagg just a little bit further in 3rd position. What is it going to be? The podium is completely out in the randomized slots here. It all comes down to what happens in the next couple of seconds.
And it's going to be a move down the inside, looking for it onto the curb. Almost going to make the mistakes again. It is going to be this. Down the inside, that is going to be off the circuit. For Nathan Maroney, contact there. Car on 2 wheels. Not how he would have wanted to kick off the season. But this may end up the way. It may have been bad for Maroney, but it's going to be good for Lutzu. It's going to be, and it will be, unless he plays it safe. It's Gianni Lutzu who beats the two-time champ. And he takes the win here. We've also got Benjamin Rogers, who's now going to be right here. He's defending from Adrian Broski, but now that's going to be that for that. But now Rob Wright also here, trying to get past Alan Degassis, which he was unable to do. But Gianni Lutzu beats the two-time champ to win. Zach Rattray right P2. Christian Flagg up three positions for P number 3. However, it's going to be Benjamin Rogers P4, P5 for Adrian Browski, Nathan Maroney P number 6 after that two-wheel moment. But now, further down the field, we've still got this fight, Luke Harrison and Michael Thiessen.
Yeah, it's great to see the fighting still continuing out after the checkered flag, and coming down to the line, it looks like Harrison's going to be able to hold this one. Thiessen tries to take the outside line and get a better run into the straight. That might work. Never mind, the sand says, sorry, sir, not happening today. And that's going to be a hold off there from Harrison. Thiessen will take 18th, and Dembowski and Khan will follow up just a little bit further behind. But my goodness, Maroney's luck has unfortunately not increased from season number 2. I said it, he's an incredibly fast driver, but just not getting the fortune of being contact-free and just having a couple of incidents, and super unfortunate. This was the fight once again. Nathan Maroney just holding off in front. You can see Rattray White just coming in behind, and watch that front right just lock up. There we go, and nowhere to go. The car just decides to go dead straight and into the back axle there of Nathan Maroney. So that was the replay of what happened to him. But then he also had another incident on the final lap, I think from just pushing a little bit too much and completely lopsiding his car. But this was the final dive here, the attempt that was going to be the final one here for Rattray White up on the inside, and Lutzu read it like a book, just holding on to the outside line and then the inside line for the next corner, and just not allowing Rattray White to have any advantage coming into the next corner. So great work though from Lutzu. I mean, he's had an incredible drive here to almost get a Grand Slam if it wasn't for the constant swap arounds between the top 3, but brilliant drive from him.
Absolutely astounding tonight, as we are still looking at a few more replays throughout this. But it is going to be that. That was an absolutely amazing race. We'll get the full classification up on the screen, as it is going to be like this. Gianni Lutzu ends up winning, and he goes P number 1 for 1. And it is going to be Zach Rattray White, P number 2. Christian Flagg, 3 positions up from start. He rounds out the podium. Then Benjamin Rogers, Adrian Borowski, Nathan Maroney in P number 6, not the night he would have hoped for. Alan Degassis, Rob Wright, Matthias Marin, then Ken Poulin sits in P number 10. Alex Boubert Bradley sits P number 11 with Jason Archer McMillan P number 12. Neil Hanley P number 13. Sean Gopinski P14. Martin Visser P15. Daniel Taylor P16. P17 for Luke Harrison, Michael Thiessen P number 18, P19 for Aaron Dembowski, and then Sully Khan P number 20. Then Hayden Cummings, Blake Babson, Dario Satori, Mark Schreening, Leo Brongers, Scott Brooks, and Rodrigo Tostes. We'll go back to front. I'll hand this one to you, Tristan, for the first one. Christian Flagg, you are live on Apex Racing TV.
Hello.
Welcome into the commentary box. Christian Flagg, I mean, incredible race you had there tonight. Obviously, jumping on the fortune wagon there. Talk us through what happened there in that final fight, that moment there with Nathan Maroney.
Oh my God, yeah. I was I was patiently waiting for the crash to happen. I knew it would come at some point. At least one of those guys was going to have a spin, and I would be there to pick up the scraps. Unfortunately, the pass didn't go exactly the way that I wanted it to. It was a bit of a netcode incident, but yeah, I'm still pretty happy with the result.
Absolutely incredible. I mean, talk us through it. This is obviously the first round here tonight of Oschersleben. How did the Formula V feel here at the asphalt track? Pretty technical track as well, but how did the Formula V just feel in general here?
Yeah, we raced this track on the normal Formula V schedule, so we've gotten a lot of practice here. I like it. I don't think it's my favorite of all the tracks. I like a more I think this is a kind of in-between track. It's not too technical, it's not too drafty, but I kind of like it when it's on one of those ends, either a super drafty track or a super technical track.
Absolutely incredible. And next round, obviously, we're heading to a Rand Park GP on the 18th of October. You've gotten a really good result here for the podium spot, the final podium spot here for round number 1. How are you feeling heading into round number 2?
Yeah, unfortunately, I won't be able to make it to round number 2. I have IRL racing, but I'll be here for the rest of the season, and I'm hoping that I can keep up the good results.
Incredible stuff. Well, yeah, like we've said, we've got a couple of drivers here participating in online racing, and it will always take preference over some of the sim racing that we do all over here at Apex Racing TV. But still, an incredible result for you tonight. Is there anything you'd like to say or anybody you'd like to mention before you head out of the commentary box?
Yeah, just congrats to all those Aussies. Those guys are quick.
Absolutely incredible. Well, congratulations once again for the final spot of the podium here tonight in P number 3. We'll see you next week. Well, we won't see you next week, sorry, at Rand Park. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time at Summit Point.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
Alrighty, incredible stuff. Just checking if Alexa's back yet. Not sure if he is. Not just yet. Oh, okay, he's back. All right, cool. So, Alexa, I'll give you the honors of taking on Mr. Zach Rattray White. Zach, you are live on the Apex Racing TV broadcast in the commentary box.
Zach, welcome in, and I would say that was a pretty decent race. Of course, brand new season, how are we feeling about kicking it off, P number 2 overall?
Well, turns out this is probably my worst track we've ever been to in this car, so that's kind of announced to the field my weaknesses, and it kind of shows how powerful the draft is, because I think there's quite an obvious skill gap at this track in particular between the rest of the field and Gianni, so and it was pretty tight at the end still.
Yeah, obviously, one thing that we've also got to mention, that contact with Nathan Maroney. See, it looks like from the replay, it was a front right lockup. Was it the intention to go down the inside, or was it just a bit of an error with the braking?
Yeah, it's pretty much everything you just mentioned. Yeah, it's probably wind the bias back a bit next time. I think it was a pretty good Apex denial, personally. I think, he just perfect little pit maneuver. Definitely didn't mean it. So sorry to Nathan for that. That was not very nice. But it is the way it goes.
Yeah, coming into this 2-time champion as well. Season 3, what's the plan? Of course, fell short of Gianni tonight, but we know we saw last season, he is definitely your closest competitor. From last season, at least, it seems like Nathan is also going to be there. What's the plan for the rest of the season?
Hopefully win a couple of races. I'll get Gianni eventually. I think he's the world record holder at this track in this car. So on raw speed, he's good at this track, but I'm pretty sure I'll get him at some other tracks. Especially, I think there's a rallycross track of some sorts. So hopefully I can pit maneuver him at that track. Maybe that will give him a few extra points on him.
Well, fair enough. Before we let you go, is there anybody you would like to thank?
I probably won't thank anyone, but I'll probably apologise to Nathan once more. Yeah, he probably should have been on the podium, but yeah, not much more to say for that. Sorry, Nathan.
Well, I'm sure he'll be happy you apologise. Thank you, Zach. We shall let you have a good rest of your night.
You too, guys.
And that was Zach Rattray White. Tristan, you can have this one. Johnny Lutsu, you are live on Apex Racing TV. What a win.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, no, it was pretty good, pretty damn good. I mean, the first part of the race was definitely not too bad. I think definitely more so a case of very much just keeping it consistent, keeping my line, making sure I didn't make any mistakes, and I guess, yeah, trying to keep as much of a buffer as I can. But obviously, as we know with these cars, the draft is always very aggressive and very, very strong. So, yeah, obviously, once it starts to get into that couple of 10th gap, and obviously once the tyres start to get a little bit warm and they start to get a little bit, understeery in a sense, it becomes quite hard. But, yeah, at the end there, the last few laps definitely had me on my toes, that's for sure. But, yeah, we got the win, so that was the important thing.
We saw up and down the grid a couple of these cars producing quite a little bit of smoke and a couple of driver errors as well. in the rear. We just wanted to ask, obviously, the person finishing off in first, almost, taking home a Grand Slam here. How did the V feel throughout the 30-minute progression of this race?
Yeah, I mean, obviously in comparison to when you race in the, I guess, the official series, I think the race is obviously 12 minutes long in comparison to this. So you definitely get to feel the progression of the tire a lot more. I think it's obviously can be quite difficult when you are battling like from the beginning. It just sort of makes the tires feel like they get a lot warmer a lot faster. But I guess we're kind of lucky in a sense that we did kind of get a bit of a breakaway quite early, and we all kind of understood that we just wanted to kind of hold our positions for a fair part of the race. And then obviously as you sort of start to battle it and start to go too wide through corners, that's when you start to sort of see little effects of tire wear and tire overheating and just a lot of understeer start to come out. So you definitely notice a lot more in these races. But I guess it's just about trying to modulate the pace throughout the race to kind of keep them underneath you until when you need them most at the end.
And just talk us quickly through, I mean, some of the battles that you had with Maroney and Zach Rattray White. I mean, how was that going around the track? It happened at quite a couple of the corners.
Yeah, no, it brings me back to that point right there. I think when you do have one of those moments like that, you definitely feel like because of it, you have to definitely scrub a lot more steering angle into the car, and in turn, obviously make the tires increase a little bit of temperature that you would really not want to kind of have. But no, it's definitely great racing against Maroney and Zach. Obviously, unfortunate for Maroney to have that spin there with that little bit of contact, but I think we understand each other's limits. We understand how to drive wheel to wheel with each other, and I think hopefully it shows great racing on the broadcast. But I think in the car it's always quite enjoyable. So no, it's always good to come out on top, but it's always nice to be able to drive confidently against those guys too. It's always a good time.
Yeah, I mean, I think you three gave some of the best action out on the cameras here tonight. So well done to all three of you just for the podium fighting. But before we let you go, is there anything you'd like to mention or anybody you'd like to thank before heading out?
Yeah, thank you so much. Obviously, a big thank you to you guys for putting on the whole broadcast. It's always a pleasure to be able to go back and review your race from the third person point of view, because sometimes you always just doing everything from first person and always just being the one driving the car. So it's good to go back and just overview how things look from the outside. Obviously, big thanks to Matthias and Sully for obviously putting everything on. And obviously, big shout out to obviously my brand Lutzu Drive Performance for obviously being a sponsor of the series, but obviously just being a big help to all of the drivers in the series as well, and helping a lot of guys get faster. So if you ever want to come through, be sure to check out my website www.lutzudriveperformance.com, and if you ever need a hand, more than happy to help. So looking forward to next week, and hopefully we can carry the momentum forwards there.
Incredible stuff. It's also great to see the sportsmanship and sponsorship shown all over the place. But thank you once again. Congratulations on taking P1 here tonight. We'll see you next week at a Rand Park GP.
Thank you so much, guys. Have a good day.
That was Gianni Lutzu. Tristan, let's round this out. Let's get you the final thoughts here on that race.
Yeah, I mean, great race. So much battling going on up and down field. I mean, we had the top 3 fight. We had the top 10 fight. It was great stuff overall, and I think a great track to start off season number 3. But one thing definitely to mention, I mean, if we saw what the racing was like tonight, I'm excited for the rest of the season. I mean, Rand Park, also a great track to go to for round number 2. So super excited to see what these drivers can do out on track next time around. But my final thoughts after tonight: incredible racing. Once again, a really stacked and well-rounded grid of drivers, and just excited to see where this goes for season number 3 of the TGR Nation Grand V.
Indeed it is, and it's going to be on the 18th of October. Oran Park GP, same place, same time. Like Tristan has already said, absolutely astounding racing, and we are sure we'll get to see more of that. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the TGR Nation Grand V Season 3 opening round. I've been Alexa Marshall with Tristan Herbst. Our producer in the background bringing you all these amazing camera shots has been Jim Cummingham. Good night.